Hi, hello, welcome to my kitchen here in Kenya. And for those of you who've been following me for a while, will know that I often talk about how I eat a lot of protein and good healthy fats first thing in the morning. That tends to be my go-to, but I do love granola and muesli and all those delicious things. So this is what I want to do. This is what I tend to do maybe at weekends. And it's a homemade muesli, but you can use shop-bought muesli. I always look for the ones that are low sugar, but I tend to make mine in bulk, and we've got lots of recipes on Earle Wellbeing. That's my homemade muesli box. But then into that, you can add so many more things. And so even if you've got a shop-bought muesli, very often they're packed with some of the cheaper fillers. They might contain things like skim milk powder, lots of oats, lots of cereals, not the real yummy things that are so good for us, the high protein things like nuts and seeds, which are obviously more expensive, and so we tend to find them less in commercial products. So I've got here, this is some of my Christmas granola actually, which I really like because it's quite spicy. It's got lots of cinnamon, and again, you'll find the recipe, we'll pop it in the URL. So I would start with that as a base. And then I'm going to add some things to it. And again, if you've been watching me on Instagram, I've been setting this challenge to have 30 plants a day. Now, I know that a lot of the experts talking about gut health will say, 30 different plant varieties a week, that's really good. And it should be really achievable. Well, I thought I'd go one step further and see how many I could get in a day. So it's not as hard as it sounds when you think that all the herbs and spices count. So if you have a big salad, and then you chop up some chives and some mint and some basil, you've got 3 extra things there already. And I'll show how you can get maybe 15, 20 different things into a simple bowl of muesli. And the great thing about diversity, and why a lot of the gut health gurus talk about diversity, is that our microbes, the microbiome, which is full of our good gut bugs, they love all these different varieties of plant-based fibre, the insoluble fibre and the soluble fibres as well. So the more variety we can give them, the better. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It can literally be a teaspoon of this, a sprinkling of that. But that's enough to give good food matter to some of the different strains of bacteria in our gut. And having a good, healthy microbiome is all about diversity. Okay, so you start with your basic bit of granola, and then you can add all sorts of things. So I like, one of my favourites is flaked almonds. I love almonds because they're high in vitamin E and they've got good sources of protein. So I'll add a few of those. Chia seeds, also a good source of protein. And they do contain some of the omega-3 fats, but they don't convert very well. So I don't use them necessarily for the omega-3s, but I like them because they also swell up inside the body. So they give us that feeling of feeling fuller for longer. And our gut bugs really like them. I won't open all these packets because it's making a bit of a crackly noise on my YouTube. But basically I've got here sesame seeds. Sesame is good, lots of minerals, lots of calcium, for example. Sunflower seeds, one of my favorites. Sunflower seeds, full of vitamin E, lots of protein. I just like the texture and the flavor. And so all those go in. And in fact, what I do often is I'll make a mix like this. So that's why I've actually pre-made all these just into a ready-made sprinkle, because you can actually sprinkle this onto pretty much anything. You can sprinkle it onto soups and salads. It doesn't just have to be cereals. I've also got some pumpkin seeds in here, which are really nice to add. Now you'll notice that I haven't added dried fruit. The reason for that is that dried fruit is incredibly high in sugar. I know a lot of these kind of so-called health gurus cook with things like dates. To me, they're just sugar bombs. They are full of sugar. And fair enough, if you want to use a little bit, I have got a few kind of raisins in here. I have got some raisins. My kids like it because it adds real sweetness. If you want to add a little bit of dry fruit, that's fine, but just be careful, don't overdo it. I would rather go more on the nuts and the seeds and the different things like that I can add in that aren't actually going to help spike insulin, which is what you don't want to do. You want to keep your insulin levels as stable as possible. Having said that, then I do like using some of the fresh fruits. So the low sugar fruits are the berries. So particularly blackberries, these actually are blueberries, but you can get blackberries. And if you're buying fruits out of season, then you can use frozen fruits. They're really good value. You can buy bags of frozen blackberries and raspberries, for example. I've got some fresh raspberries here. We tend to get fruit all year round here because we're on the equator. So berries are a good choice for cereals because they're low in sugar. And then you can add really all sorts of things. You can be a bit creative. So for example, I've got my Strong Nutrients creatine powder, which is good for muscle mass. And you can just add a tiny sprinkling of that into your cereal. It's tasteless, so it's not actually going to affect anything. I also like adding things like probiotics or prebiotics. This is my Bimuno powder, so I'm going to just sprinkle that on as well. You can put that onto yogurt. You know, it's just about getting more diversity in your bowl. And then of course you can add your milk. And I normally use whole milk, just whole organic milk, but you can use regular milk. You can use a milk substitute if you wanted. I'm just going to use some regular milk in there. If you are using the butterfat keto, this is the powder that you can use that's got the MCT, the medium chain triglycerides. You can make that into a milk and use that if you want to. And of course, no granola, in my opinion, would be complete without a dash of kefir. And again, you don't need to add very much. You can add a little bit of yogurt if you want to, but you know, even just a teaspoon of kefir has millions, if not billions, of beneficial bacteria. So that, for me, is a perfect bowl of muesli, and it's a way, that's so good, of getting many, many ingredients simply and easily in a low sugar way to enjoy in the morning, breakfast, brunch, healthy snack, whenever. It's just about chucking more stuff in. If I've missed anything, let me know. You can leave me a comment below and enjoy. Pretty good.